You made a financial decision today. Maybe you bought something you didn't need. Maybe you avoided something you did. Maybe you told yourself you'd deal with it later, then didn't. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you already know the decision wasn't quite right. But here's what nobody tells you. It wasn't really your fault. Because the part of your brain making those calls wasn't built for money. It was built for something far older, far more urgent, and far more dangerous. And it has been running the show your entire life. To understand what's happening inside your skull every time you look at a price tag, you have to go back. Not a few decades, not a few centuries. You have to go back roughly 2 million years to a time when your ancestors woke up every morning with one single problem: stay alive. There was no future to plan for. There was no savings account. There was no next year. There was only today. And in that world, the brain that survived was not the one that calculated long-term returns. It was the one that grabbed the food in front of it right now before someone else did. This is what neuroscientist Antonio Damasio spent years studying. He called it the somatic marker hypothesis. The basic idea is this: your brain doesn't make decisions through pure logic. It makes them through feeling. A gut signal fires before you've consciously processed anything, and that signal was calibrated in a world where hesitation meant death. Think about what that means for you today. When you see something on sale, that signal fires. Grab it. When you see a bill you can't pay, that signal fires. Avoid it. When someone offers you a small reward now versus a larger reward later, that signal fires. Take the small one now. It feels rational. It feels like a choice. But it's not. It's a 2 million year old reflex wearing the clothes of modern decision making. Economists have a name for this. They call it hyperbolic discounting. It means your brain dramatically overvalues the present compared to the future. The further away a reward is, the less real it feels to your nervous system. Not because you're stupid, because your ancient brain doesn't fully believe in a future it can't smell or touch. Psychologist David Laibson at Harvard documented this in a series of experiments. He found that when people were asked to choose between it's $10 today or $11 tomorrow, most people took the $10 today. But when asked to choose between $10 in 30 days or $11 in 31 days, most people chose $11 in 31 days. The math is identical. The gap is identical. 1 day, $1. But the closer a reward is to the present moment, the more your brain inflates its value. The ancient part of you cannot distinguish between a 1 day wait and a 1 month wait once the reward feels far enough away. Only when it's right in front of you does the ancient alarm start screaming. That's the hidden instinct, and it doesn't stop there. There's another layer. It has to do with loss. Specifically, your brain's complete overreaction to it. Psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky spent decades studying how people actually make decisions. What they found overturned nearly everything economists thought they knew. People don't weigh gains and losses equally. Losing $20 feels roughly twice as painful as gaining $20 feels good. Your brain treats a loss like a physical threat. It activates the same neural circuits that light up when you sense danger. When you lose money, something in your nervous system registers it the same way it registers a predator. Why would that be? Because for most of human history, loss was existential. Losing food wasn't a setback, it was death. Losing shelter wasn't inconvenient, it was death. Your brain never evolved a sense of proportion around loss because there was never any safe amount to lose. Every loss counted. So your nervous system learned to treat every loss as catastrophic. Now put that instinct into a modern context. You avoid checking your bank account because seeing a low balance triggers that same ancient fear response. You hold on to a failing investment because selling it means admitting a loss, and your brain registers that admission as a kind of defeat that feels physically painful. You spend money on things that make you feel better right now because the anxiety of not spending, of sitting with discomfort, is also a signal your brain reads as threat. None of this is weakness. All of it is wiring. And then there's status, because your brain wasn't just tracking food and danger. It was tracking where you stood in the group. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar, famous for his work on human social group size, showed that for most of human history, your survival depended entirely on your position within a tribe of roughly 150 people. Being respected meant access to resources. Being low status meant being last to eat, last to shelter, and first to be abandoned when times got hard. Your brain evolved to monitor status constantly, relentlessly, and with enormous emotional weight. Money, in the modern world, has become the most visible proxy for status your brain has ever encountered. This is why a luxury purchase doesn't just feel good. It feels safe. It feels like you are rising in the tribe. This is why a financial setback doesn't just feel bad. It feels like exile. Your nervous system is not processing a number in an account. It is processing a social position in a group that no longer exists in the way it once did. You are walking around in a modern economy with a brain that evolved to navigate a small nomadic group on the African savanna. The mismatch is not subtle, it is total. So what can actually be done? Because awareness alone doesn't fix the wiring. What researchers have found is that the brain's ancient circuitry can be partially bypassed, not silenced, but redirected. One of the most effective techniques is what behavioral economists call commitment devices. These are systems you build in advance when your rational mind is calm to constrain your impulsive mind later when the signals are firing. Automatic savings, rules about waiting before purchases, external accountability. These don't change what your brain wants, they change the environment so your brain's oldest instincts can't take over before you've had a chance to think. The other piece is something harder. It's learning to recognize the feeling itself, the pull toward an immediate reward, the flinch away from a loss, the status anxiety that makes you spend to feel safe. These are ancient signals. They are real and they are powerful. But they are not facts about the present. They are memories of a past your body never lived through, but your nervous system still believes is happening. When you feel the urge to avoid, to grab, to spend away the discomfort, you are not failing at being a modern person. You are succeeding at being exactly the kind of human being that survived long enough to produce you. The question is whether you want to be governed by an ancestor who never had a bank account. The hidden instinct that makes you terrible with money is not a character flaw. It is the oldest survival mechanism your species ever built. It kept your lineage alive for 2 million years. And now, in a world of mortgages and mutual funds and credit card interest, it is quietly, invisibly, making decisions on your behalf. Today, you made a financial decision. Maybe it was the right one. Maybe it wasn't. But now you know what was actually in the room with you when you made it. Something old, something powerful, something that has been running longer than money has even existed.